So today I'll be doing a video discussing all levels of power. Now, when it comes to the power scaling in Fairy Tail, this can be one of the most confusing things as a fan. Yes, we know that the power scaling in Fairy Tail, it can be a little bit shaky sometimes, but for the majority of the part, we know that the power scaling in Fairy Tail is pretty good. But today I want to do the video discussing the different rankings in power, because Fairy Tail recently, they are starting to reach God level when it comes to strength, and their characters are starting to get a lot more stronger. So why not do a video discussing each different ranks in power, because now that they are starting to move up in the power scaling, they're starting to get a lot better when it comes to managing each character's strength. So without further ado, let's go and get into the video discussing all levels of power. Now, we know of the concept of power level that's already been established in Fairy Tail with the whole S-class wizard system. Yes, we know that only the best of the best mages can become S-class wizards, and that's pretty much a staple thing for every single guild. So once you become an S-class wizard, that's pretty much when you become a real one. That's pretty much when your guild recognizes you for being overpowered. So there are only a few mages who do reach that level for each guild, but there are a couple mages who are just below S-class who I have to bring up in this video, because once they do finally reach that level of S-class, and yeah, their strength will be formidable. But for the wizards that are just below S-class, and they're like literally just like a step below them, number one is going to be Lucy. Now Lucy, this is actually a huge props to her, because we saw how weak she was at the beginning of the series. Lucy was pretty much one of the most weakest, and probably one of the characters that had to depend on somebody else the most at the beginning of the series. So the fact that she's made it all the way up to below S-class with just her strength alone goes to show you how strong Lucy has been, and it goes to show you how great of writing Hiro Mashima has been doing when it comes to Lucy. Because I have to admit, Lucy, she might be the best developed character in the whole series, so her being below an S-class is no shot at her at all. And we know that Wendy, she also does join her on this list, and this is mainly because Wendy, we know that she's obviously a lot younger than the main cast of Fairy Tail characters, and she kind of falls in the same boat as Lucy. Don't get too mad if you see her below S-class, because we have to remember, she's still a kid. When Wendy reaches the age of Lucy and the others, then we'll be able to see how strong she really is. We'll be able to see her full potential go all out, because you have to think, Wendy, she's unlocked Dragon Force, she's been fighting demons, dragons, she's been doing basically everything that Natsu and the others have been doing, but she's a kid. So just imagine when she's Natsu and them's age, yeah, she's going to be a real threat. And the last two wizards that I have for below S-class are Sting and Rogue. Now, this might come off as a shocker for some people, but just hear me out. Sting and Rogue, they are the only third generation drag slayers that we know of, and their role for the story has kind of been like Natsu and Gajil's little brother. Like Sting and Rogue, they're basically like Gajil and Natsu 2.0, but a lot more younger. And we see that when it comes to strength, Natsu, he was able to beat both of them while they were seemingly on the upcoming with no problems at all. So that just goes to show you the difference in strength between those two. But Sting and Rogue, they are a little bit behind Natsu and the others when it comes to, I don't want to say age, but I guess when it just comes to how much experience they've gotten. So once these two actually do start fighting more and stop just basically living off the third generation Dragon Slayer name and get stronger, then I do believe that they can be S-class. But for the time being, I have these two below S-class, and I'm gonna be honest, these are the only two wizards that you can get upset at if they're below S-class, because listen, they're Dragon Slayers, so they're supposed to be super strong. But nonetheless, we know that Sting and Rogue, they're gonna get a lot more stronger in the future. So those are the wizards that I have for below S-class. So without further ado, let's go ahead and jump into the S-class. And like I said, the S-class is going to consist of all the overpowered strong mages. And starting off, we're going to talk about Natsu. Now, Natsu, we know that he's obviously made his way up to S-class, and it was dope seeing him make it up there, because he was one of the first characters to ever bring it up. Yes, we saw when he first encountered Guildarts and they said that Guildarts was an S-class, Natsu, he was super excited to test his strength against an S-class wizard at that time. We saw Guildarts just flung him around with one arm. Like, it wasn't even a fight. But now Natsu, we know obviously he is one of the strongest, if not the strongest characters in the Fairy Tail Guild. Now, the second S-Class wizard is Urza, and this one was kind of a no-brainer. She's been hyped up ever since the beginning of the series. She's always been one of the stronger members of the Fairy Tail Guild, and I'm surprised that she's just now getting an S-Class recommendation. We've seen that she was even the guild leader at one point, so Urza being an S-Class wizard, definitely not too far-fetched to believe, because she's been getting hyped up from the very beginning. And the next S-Class wizard I want to discuss is Gray. Now, Gray, I want to give a huge props to him because he seems like he's just been slept on. Like, everybody, when they compare him to Natsu, they just put a huge gap between him and Natsu. And to be honest, Natsu, he is stronger than Gray, but it's not by as large as people would think it is. Like, Gray, with his devil slaying magic, with, you know, his ice devil slaying abilities, he's able to pretty much put up a good fight against Natsu. We saw what Silver was able to do to Natsu. He was able to freeze him in one blow. Obviously, that was a weaker Natsu, but we know that Gray is now a lot stronger than Silver. So put some respect on Gray's name. He is definitely still one of the strongest characters, and he still makes for a great rival to Natsu. And speaking of great rival to Natsu, I have to bring up Gajio, because this is another character that's kind of been forcefully slept on. Now, Hiro Mashima, he's the reason why I'm saying characters or people forcefully sleep on Gajio, because it just seems like he doesn't get as much shine as other characters, even though he's crazy strong. We saw, me personally, I believe that his fight versus Bloodman was probably one of the more impressive ones, just because Bloodman, he was able to use he was basically a whole guild himself. He was basically the Tartaros guild himself, and Gajio was able to take him down. So technically speaking, Gajio's as strong as the whole Tartaros guild combined. I'm just saying, but we know that Gajio, he is way overpowered. And Hiro Mashima, if he didn't like put Gajio off to the side a lot of the times, because usually whenever Fairy Tail goes on big missions, they usually say stuff like, oh, Gajio and Juvia, they accepted some other quest, or even now with the Fairy Tail 100-year quest, we know that Gajio isn't with them. He stayed behind at the guild. So Gajio, if he was put on the front lines a lot more, we would see him go ham, but due to obvious reasons of him having to handle his own business, I mean, the man's about to become a dad, so he doesn't have that much free time on his hands. But no, in all seriousness, Gajio, he's another one of those characters that is an S-Class level, and I do believe that he needs some respect on his name. Now, the next person is Juvia, and this is a huge rank up for Juvia, because we've seen where she started off at the beginning of the series. She wasn't necessarily weak, but we knew that she was very evil. So the fact that she's made her way up to S-Class Mage is pretty good. And Juvia, she's actually low-key overpowered. Yeah, we know that her water ability, there's pretty much only Gray or any other skilled ice user who's like a complete nerf for her. Other than that, Juvia can give most people some problems. Now, the next S-Class wizard that I want to discuss is Laxus, because Laxus, this is a character that's development is up there with Lucy, because we've seen how far he's come when it comes to his character, but his strength is easily the most unmatched thing that he has going for him, because we've seen to this day it's still questionable on if he's stronger than Natsu, because every time him and Natsu always go at it, Laxus always seems to have the upper hand. So a lot of people do believe that Laxus is still stronger than Natsu, but Laxus, he was a mage that's been pretty much an S-Class wizard ever since he was introduced, so it's really no surprise that he's still up there. Next one is Mira Jane, and Mira Jane, we've seen how OP she was. I mean, she was being compared to Urza from the very beginning, so that just goes to show you that Mira Jane, she is worthy of being an S-Class wizard. And surprisingly, Elfman. Yes, Elfman is actually an S-Class wizard. I'm gonna be honest, I want to see more of Elfman. Like, I want to see what makes him an S-Class wizard. I'm not saying that he's not strong enough, because Elfman, he was like one of those characters that was not necessarily a main character, but they still did hype up his strength a lot, and he still did get a lot of dope fights. So I'm not saying that Elfman isn't S-Class wizard material, but I just want to see more of him so that we get a confirmation. And obviously, we know Gildarts, he is an S-Class wizard. Gildarts, he's been an S-Class wizard from the jump, so there's really no reason to even explain his situation. And last but not least, we know that Makarov is an S-Class wizard, and he's been the guild leader for 80 years, so it's not too surprising to figure out why he's one. But now that we know of all the S-Class wizards, we know that each one of those wizards, they all are very powered in their own right. And the next stage of power that I want to discuss is dragon level. Now, these are characters that I believe can take out dragons, because to this day, the dragons in Fairy Tail, they are still a huge staple for power, and there's not a lot of people who can take out dragons in Fairy Tail. So to be able to take out a dragon one-on-one, that goes to show you that you are crazy strong. And the first person who is obviously dragon level is Acnologia. Listen, this man literally made a living off of killing dragons for fun, so don't argue with this one when it comes to dragon level. I'm pretty sure 99.9% will, fuck it, 100% will agree that Acnologia is dragon level. But coming in at number 2 is Irene, Urza's mother, the Scarlet Despair. Now, I don't want to get too deep into it for anime onlys, but if you have read the Fairy Tail manga, then you will know Irene, she is one bad son of a gun. Like, we know that she's able to use the best type of magic when she's not even in her dragon form. She's able to transform too. So Irene, she is very overpowered, and I can see her being able to take on a dragon with ease. Hell, we know about her past and all the things that she used to do, so it's not too far-fetched to think that she is dragon level. The next one is August, and August, to me, he's a character that's also been low-key underrated, because I just don't hear people talking about August when it comes to power. But August is one of the strongest wizards ever. He's known as the strongest mage in Fairy Tail, so that just goes to show you that he is definitely a dragon level. And I do think that once the anime only see what he could do, yo, you guys will agree with me that this guy can probably kill 5 dragons on his own. But no, coming in at number 4 is Zeref. Now, Zeref, obviously he had to be up here just because we know that he's been alive for 400 years. He's just been doing his own thing. Like, Zeref, he is easily, I mean, hell, he's the reason why this war started. So there's that literally explains it itself. Zeref being able to take out a dragon is definitely not far-fetched to believe. Now, the next person I want to discuss is Igneel. Now, the reason why I'm bringing up Igneel is because Igneel in his prime is said to be the king of dragons. So that just goes to show you how strong Igneel really was. And me personally, I do believe that in his prime, he still was the strongest dragon that we've seen, period. Now, the next character that I want to discuss is Ignia, just because he is one of the newer characters that was just introduced. He is Igneel's real son, and we know that he is the fire dragon god. Yes, he's the fire dragon god, so obviously he is dragon level. Not too much explaining needed done there. The fire dragon god, if he can't kill a dragon, then I'm just going to drop Fairy Tail. But no, in all seriousness, the last person who I want to discuss for dragon level is Toka. And the reason why I had to throw her up here is because she's being compared to Zeref. Yes, they said that her magic potency is able to wipe out all life on Earth. So the fact that Toka is looking to be this strong, I had to throw her up there when it comes to dragon level. Now, the final tier when it comes to characters is God tier, because we know that gods, they have been introduced in Fairy Tail. They've been a huge concept from the beginning, and there's only a couple characters that ever reach this God tier. And once you do reach this God tier, you're pretty much a God Slayer without learning God Slayer magic. So that just goes to show you how overpowered you are. And the people who I have up on God level is Acnologia after he consumed the time lapse. Now, basically the time lapse is basically a black hole. Like, they were basically saying that any wizard who touched it would instantly die. And Acnologia, we saw that he touched it, he got transported to a whole nother dimension, but while he was in that black hole dimension, he basically ate the nothingness that was there. He was able to crawl himself, he was able to literally tear a hole in the sky. Like, Acnologia became dimensional level. So him after he consumed the time lapse, definitely does go to show you that he is God level. Like, people, we saw Anna, she was saying, yo, this is going to work 100%. It's going to work 100%. Then Acnologia was like, hold my beer. Do you not know what type of dragon I am? I'm the demon dragon. I can eat whatever I want. And he just straight up devours a black hole. So that was when we seen Acnologia become a true god, because he was able to use his dragon body and his human body at the same time. Anime onlys, you'll see why Acnologia reached god level. And the next character that I want to discuss is Zeref with Fairy Heart, because yo, literally he was able to erase time. We see Natsu, he destroyed the guild, and Zeref was like, I'm just gonna erase the time that you just, like, the time frame that he used to destroy the guild, he erased it, so the guild was brought back to normal. And we seen he literally killed Natsu. Yes, Zeref killed Natsu, and if it wasn't for Lucy having the book of E&D to rewrite Natsu's history, he would have been dead as a doorknob. Zeref would have got away with killing his brother, and we seen that there was literally the only thing that held him back was his physical strength, and the only person that could really touch him was Natsu, and that's because they have family relationships. So yeah, unless you are somebody from Zeref's family, while he has fairy heart, he can literally just erase your whole existence like it was nothing. So Zeref, he definitely is a god when he does consume fairy heart, and his design is just so badass. Like, let's be honest, Zeref with fairy heart, that's one of the best designs in all of Fairy Tail. And the last character that I have for god level is either Natsu in his E&D form or Natsu in his Flame Dragon King mode. Now, the reason why I say his E&D form is because Natsu as E&D, he was pretty much the only person that could kill Zeref, so that is a pretty high level. And we seen his E&D form, it was way stronger than his regular human form, whereas Natsu with his new Flame Dragon King flames, yeah, we saw he was able to take out a weakened water dragon god. So Natsu, he barely scratched the surface of god level with his new flames that he got from Ignia. Even though the flames aren't permanent, until he does make that power his own, we can say that that little split second of Natsu was him reaching god level. Now, when it comes to these characters and all these tiers, there are some characters who I do believe will actually break different boundaries before the series is over. For example, I do believe that Lucy, the highest that she will go is an S-class wizard. I believe that that's where her strength will max out, whereas characters like Wendy, I do believe that she has potential to be dragon level. Yes, I believe that Wendy, once she finally does reach her prime, she'll be able to be dragon level. Sting and Rogue, I do believe that they'll be dragon level too. And I also do believe that the S-class wizards like Natsu, Laxus, and maybe Guildarts if Guildarts keeps on training, but main ones are Natsu, Laxus. I think that they could reach god level just because Laxus, number one, he's just been hyped up to be the final Fairy Tail guild leader, and what better guild leader would it be to have somebody super overpowered and that's from Makarov's family? Yeah, that's why I believe Laxus can reach god level, and the reason why Natsu can reach god level, it's literally self-explanatory. Like, they're just that strong, whereas other characters like Gagio, Urza, Gray, I believe that their max power will be able to reach dragon level, simply because we even seen in Fairy Tail 100 Year Quest, without Wendy's help by her enchanting Urza and Gray, they pretty much weren't able to do anything against dragons. So that just goes to show you that they're not at that level yet. But when it's all said and done, I do believe that these characters will be able to reach these statuses when the series is all said and done. But overall, what do you guys think about the video discussing the power levels? Do you guys like me discussing power levels? Because if you do, I will bring back versus battles. Yes, I used to do versus battles back on this channel. I stopped them for a little bit, but if you guys like me discussing power levels, I will more than happily bring back versus battles. And I just want to bring you guys this little quick question before I end the video. Do you guys want to see me review anime episodes? Because I'm not gonna lie, I've been slacking when it comes to the Fairy Tail anime, but I have been keeping up with it. I just haven't been making videos on it. It's kind of been more of a thing where I just been sitting back enjoying it. But if you guys want me to, I will make videos discussing the recent Fairy Tail animes. But that's basically it for this little video discussing all levels of powers in Fairy Tail. Comment what you guys see down below. Subscribe if you haven't. Peace out.